Welcome to Biz Wire. I'm Joseph Nordstrom in Beijing. Of the many issues addressed during the recently concluded third plenum meeting of China's Central Committee, fiscal reform, including shifting the balance of power between the national and local governments, was a priority. As part of some of the biggest reforms the Chinese Communist Party has enacted in the past 2 decades, administrators at the local level will now be judged on new measures, including borrowing levels, and rated less on GDP growth, which leads to distortions, environmental problems, and excess production. At the national level, China's budgetary house seems to be in order, but according to the World Bank, China's local governments are responsible for 80% of spending while receiving only 40% of the tax revenue. In September, a researcher with the Chinese Academy of Social Sciences, Liu Yuhui, said that a nationwide audit of local authorities will show their overall debt may have surged to more than 20 trillion yuan, or about $3 trillion. Now, other estimates have come in at about half that number. The party listed fiscal and tax reform as the 5th out of 16 main points in its more detailed document released last Friday, describing finance as a foundation and important pillar of the country's governance and which guarantees long-term stability. Among proposed changes are making budgets more transparent, improving transfer payments, setting up risk warning and debt management systems for central and local governments, and speeding up legislation on a property tax. Moves to restrict local debt in the past have largely failed, with financing coming from other more opaque sources. There has been a ban on direct borrowing for local governments, but officials in these localities have gotten around this by using what are called local government financing vehicles, or LGFVs. Credit Suisse says the local share of spending has surged in recent years, causing regional authorities to rely more on land sales and borrowing via these investment vehicles. Now, when land was acquired, local officials used the LGFVs to borrow money for development without apparent regard for future utility, as the construction alone could be enough to boost economic activity and job growth to secure their next promotion. Bloomberg News says that tightening control over local finances and allowing new channels for funding would limit the risk of a debt crisis that's hanging over the economy, while corruption arrests since Xi Jinping came to power may help to keep officials more or less in line. Nomura Securities says a major win from the meetings was a concession by local administrators to the central government, which exchanged some control to Beijing for help with their budgetary responsibilities. The China Business News Daily says Beijing has adopted strict audit policies to fully uncover local debt that was previously concealed by local governments. The National Audit Office announced in late July that the audit on government debt would be thoroughly implemented and will force local governments to reveal what they really owe. Chief Asia economist at Capital Economics, Mark Williams, says municipal debt makes it much more difficult to reform banks and liberalize the financial system. If China is to liberalize interest rates in the financial sector before dealing with the implicit guarantee on state-owned companies and LGFVs, risk to the whole system would increase. China's reform-minded central bank governor Zhou Xiaochuan would like to free up interest rates, but debts held by local governments could go into default if rates become unaffordable, and so is yet another Gordian knot for officials to untangle. You're watching Biz Wire on the Blue Ocean Network, China's first and only privately owned broadcast media. Our full episode can be seen on our website, BONTV/biz-wire. In just a second, we'll continue with more insight into the big picture of China's economy.